As more than 2,000 protests are set to begin against the president's agenda in just hours, the Trump administration says it wants the National Guard to play an even bigger role in enforcing that agenda. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, tells the Washington Post, quote, "They can't make immigration arrests, but they can certainly augment for security, transportation, infrastructure, and intelligence." And Homan says he's open to using the Guard to respond to protests if other cities, quote, "go down the same path as Los Angeles." Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Eugene Vindman of Virginia. He is a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Welcome, Congressman. Good to have you back.
Great to be here, Michael.
So many things in concern, particularly, I guess, actually, does Tom Homan have the ability to direct the United States military?
No, he does not. He's not in the chain of command. He's not a uniformed service member. He does not have that authority.
Okay, I was confused.
That was short and to the point.
Short and to the point. Okay, so this, The Atlantic, they had a headline today called Trump's Un-American Parade. And this is some of the text. I'm going to read from it. According to reports, parachuters will land on the ellipse where Trump instructed rioters on January 6th to, quote, "fight like hell," and submit to him a folded American flag. All of this will occur on the president's birthday, which spurs the question of whether we're celebrating the country or the man who seeks to dominate it. Your response?
Well, look, it is the Army's 250th birthday. I think we should celebrate it. It's a glorious, storied history. I celebrated this morning by actually running with the Chief of Staff of the Army and the Secretary of the Army through Arlington, which is a really solemn experience. And we should be celebrating that instead of President Trump's birthday. That's what he's made it about. He hasn't made it about the Army's birthday and the history and everything that the Army has done liberating Europe and concentration camps. He's made it about himself. And I think that's a shame. And it's a lost opportunity for the 250th birthday of the Army.
I appreciate that thought. And I wish more will focus on what you just said, or what this really is about. 250 years of a storied journey for the men and women who don that uniform and to stand on that wall to protect this great country. My thoughts is we don't have that individual currently now leading the Department of Defense. And I would like to share with you an exchange that you had with the Secretary of Defense on the hearing on whether he should apologize for Signalgate to the mother of an F-18 pilot. Let's take a look at that.
I spoke to the mother of one F-18 pilot who flew the March 15th mission over the Red Sea in Yemen that you discussed over Signal. I spoke to her again on Tuesday and asked her if there was anything she wanted me to bring up. She believes that you need to resign. She also had several questions, but one thing, she said she would appreciate an apology. Yes or no, do you think you owe her an apology?
Please make sure to let her know how grateful we are for the skill and heroism.
We're talking about what you did and accountability. Are you going to apologize to the mother or not?
I don't apologize for success.
There it is.
That's pretty shameful, isn't it?
It's incredibly shameful. And my view of that, Congressman, is that that's the sum and substance of the man in the job. And as we are celebrating over the next few weeks and years, the men and women who carried the flag in the battle, wore the uniform for the country, men and women like yourself who leave military life, come into public service, whether some of the highest officers in the land or not. This is a time of reflection in many ways. And so you're asking that question wasn't just a question about one mother, but a lot of moms and a lot of families whose sons and daughters serve in harm's way. And that's the response from the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when America's mothers and fathers put their trust and confidence in the uniform and civilian leaders of this country, that is enormous responsibility, and they expect us to take that seriously. And what we saw from the Secretary is that zero accountability. What he did was obviously a violation that even a private would know is not appropriate. That mother Her son could not tell her where the aircraft carrier Truman was, and the secretary divulged that information, and now he refuses to apologize for that. That means he hasn't learned anything. And, 5 minutes is not a long time, but in that 5 minutes, we were able to demonstrate not only that the secretary lied to the committee meeting, that he hasn't learned anything in 4.5 months because he couldn't answer basic, simple questions on the Chinese fleet and how many ships are in the Chinese fleet, but also demonstrated his complete disregard for the family members and service members by refusing to take any responsibility, and shameful.
Can we take a turn and talk for a minute about the breaking news that is actively the developing situation in the Middle East? On Friday, the Israeli military launched a massive attack on Iran. They killed top military leaders, nuclear scientists, so on and so forth in Iran. And the Israeli government said that they will continue as necessary. Iran has now launched retaliatory missiles into Israel. And I just keep thinking about that Donald Trump said he was going to end all these wars. He was going to restore peace. And now a new war seems to be developing right before our eyes.
Yeah, well, what you see is the world recognizing that we have a weak leader. He said he was going to end the war in 24 hours in Ukraine. He failed to do that. He started a war in Yemen, and at a great expense, achieving minimal results. There was a conflict between India and Pakistan that flared up. There are conflicts that are really, they're brush fires around the world now, and they see that the United States is stepping back, that the president is weak, the administration is weak, filled with, frankly, unqualified people. And this is what happens when America retreats from its role as a leader. And, it's easy to start a war. The Israelis have a right to defend themselves. Obviously, Iran has been a destabilizing force across the world and across the region for decades. They were refining uranium to achieve nuclear breakout within days. But at the same time, it's easy to start a war like this, and it's hard to see where it ends. And I fear that the consequences are not just going to be regional, but they're going to be global.
Along those lines, a UN watchdog agency that specifically for lack of a better term, this is the agency that does the check-ins, if you will, with Iran and whatnot. For the first time in 20 years, they said Iran had missed its check-in time, that they were concerned, and this was days ago.
Absolutely. And again, Israel has a right to defend itself, but the United States has to play a meaningful, constructive role. And, it's hard to say where this conflict ends. Now we have both sides trading attacks, and it's a dangerous environment.
Is on the sidelines. I mean, that's basically what our military's elite and leaders have said.
Meanwhile, we're deploying forces in American cities instead of focusing where we need to be.